Hi, this is Antonia, and I'm doing an audio recording for Stan. So, get on with the questions. Number one, what's my background? I was born and raised in Kenya in East Africa, and subsequently lived in Swaziland and worked and lived in South Africa. I now live in the UK, but still have very strong ties to the African continent. Does this impact how I see the world and create art? Oh, most definitely. Visually in Africa, the colours are vivid, the light is extreme, along with amazing space, horizons, the heat and dust, the animals. And the people wear wonderful bright clothes. There's always music, even with poverty and lack of facilities. The mood is always uplifting. My art and how I create it and how I see the world completely reflects this, and not the rather subdued green and more green colours of the British landscape. Number two, did my upbringing prompt a specific reference point within my work? I'm not a conceptual artist. I don't have an agenda. I'm not political, except perhaps to try and bring joy to people's life and produce excitement and happiness when they see textures or colours or a composition that they love and the work resonates with them. I paint because I love the physicality of moving paint around, or with mixed media and collage with sticking and gluing and trying different mixes of colours with other colours and then putting them together and trying to get them to zing, to shout, happy, to look surprising, to surprise myself, and definitely not to produce the same painting ever again. Who are my biggest influences? My first and very biggest influence was Mark Rothko. Many years ago, my mum and I went to New York, and we were lucky enough to go to the Guggenheim, and the whole gallery was taken up with Mark Rothko. We'd never heard of him. We were like, oh no, this doesn't look very interesting. But anyway, we started at the top of the gallery. And by the time we got to the bottom, we were both completely head over heels in love with his work. Absolutely blown away. Later on, artists like Peter Lanyon, Sandra Blow, Francis Bacon, obviously Van Gogh, and all his contemporaries all have a very big influence. What am I focusing on right now? My main subject matter will always be outside, whether it's the landscape where I am, or in Cornwall, the harbours and outdoor sea pools, or in the Derbyshire Hills, or even just in my garden. My latest work, or my latest project, is revolving around the use of repetition, as in repeating the same mark or the same colour and trying to make it interesting and different, which is a challenge, having never done this before. But we did an exciting workshop with Ashley Hanson, who's a wonderful tutor and artist who lives in Cornwall. So good challenge. Speaking of challenges, what is the biggest challenge of being an artist? Belief in yourself and your work. It's very easy to doubt what you do, especially if your work is not easily defined or fit into people's labels of what they expect it to be like. So that's the biggest challenge. Get motivated and to get on with it. What advice would I give to my younger self? Practice more, enjoy it more, worry less about what other people think, and also have more courage to paint over stuff that's not working. That, for me, has been my biggest lesson learned in the last couple of years. I feel now that I'm a very experienced artist, and that has been my biggest lesson. Have I ever tried any unconventional mediums or techniques? Working with mixed media, one of the most unconventional techniques I used was burning glue on paper. You basically put glue onto the paper in patterns, shapes. It's got to be a solvent-based glue, obviously. And then you set fire to it. oh, you get the most gorgeous effects, providing you don't get too carried away and either burn a hole in the paper or set fire to it completely. So it is, you do have to be quite careful. But that was fun. Do I listen to music or have any other type of background noise while I work? Oh, definitely. I have my iPod on always, on random shuffle. It's got about, 8,000 songs on it. But a lot of rock and pop, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe a bit of opera, some classical. But on random shuffle, you never know what you're going to get, and that's quite fun. And I generally like to sing along, which is unfortunate for anyone else working in the studio with me, and occasionally even a bit of boogie. But yeah, I don't like working in silence. What's the best reaction someone has had to my artwork? Having a very respected and well-known artist loving a new piece of mine and loving the colour and loving the mark making. That is just hugely up there. Obviously, if I do sell to someone I don't know, that is also very wonderful. But having an artist who I really love their work, love mine, is definitely up there. And what do you hope people take away from your artwork? Joy, visual feast, interest, excitement over how did you do that, or how did you get that mark, want to return to look at it again and again, and also the sensation of almost comparable to eating a hot melting chocolate brownie. Okay, not quite, but virtually. So there you have it. I hope that's good, and any queries, please get back to me.